welcome back to God Coffee and Resilience podcast. It's me, Reese, your host, and today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Ayanna Edwards. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey.
Hey, y'all, just a backstory huh?
I was saying, hey, God, Coffee, and Resilient Podcast members.
Yes. Oh, yes. Lord have mercy. I got to tell you, I forgot to tell you before we started, but it's cool. There is a lag. Like when I say something and about time you say something, there's a little bit of like maybe a 3-4 second lag. So when you're telling your story, I'm going to try not to talk verbally. I'm going to just do the nonverbal and
Okay.
try not to cut you off or anything like that. But we'll make it through. The audience, they have heard me say that a million times, so they should be with it by now. But I'm super excited to have you today and for you to take time out of your Sunday because you know today is the rest day and the clean day and everything else. So thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Oh, guys, it's a very, very awesome backstory to me and her relationship. So, we actually ended up meeting at the Woman Evolve conference this year with Sarah Jakes. She was in Dallas at the Potter's House, and we sat next to each other. I think that was the first day. And I don't know. It was just, I just looked to my left, and she was very warm and inviting. And she had one of her clients with her, and we were just, I just felt the love. I just felt the sisterliness. And so we exchanged phone numbers and we went from there. I asked her to be on the podcast. So I'm excited to have her here.
Yes, I'm so excited. That was a phenomenal experience. And I'm
It
glad to
was.
even just have experienced that with you so you know exactly what was
Yes.
going on. And it was good. It was
Of
good.
course. Yes, and now Sarah's starting to post everything on Instagram now from the sermons and everything that happened that weekend, and I'm still kind of on cloud nine. Oh Lord, yes, still. Well, sis, I got to ask you a question. I always try to do icebreakers at the beginning, and sometimes I switch it up, or at least I try. But I'm going to stick with my very first question, which is what is your favorite caffeinated beverage?
Hmm. It's either ginger ale or I love coffee for sure. I love coffee
Yes.
or ginger ale. Those are my
See,
favorites.
that's why we're sisters. See, that's why because I was somebody else had came on here and they were like root beer, and I was like, I have a root beer every now and then, but ginger ale is the cure for all things. And so,
Yay.
and for Black people, we drink ginger ale. We have a stomach ache, a headache, you hurt your toe, Grandma give you some ginger ale. It's the
Yes,
cure.
it's here. It is here. Yep, right. I agree. It's a staple in our
Yes.
house as well. I loved it when I was pregnant with my 4-year-old, and
Uh huh.
oh my, I was addicted. And so afterwards, I didn't really like it that much, but I picked up my taste buds again for it, and I still love it. So it's one of my favorites.
Yes. I have a ginger ale sister. I don't know where y'all at, but we are ginger ale um lovers here. So I'm glad I have you here. And then coffee. Oh gosh, Monday through Friday, every morning I drink a cup of coffee. I love the smell of coffee. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. Any particular coffee you like? Because I know people got Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. I mean,
Um, no. So there was I do like Folgers, of course, if I'm making it at home. I don't really go to
okay.
Starbucks like that anymore. So Folgers have been my
Mm-hmm.
go-to for the past
Good.
month or so. And I love hazelnut coffee creamer. So I have to have creamer in
Ooh.
there. I don't put sugar, but I put enough creamer to have that sugary taste. That's
Sis,
it.
where have you been? That's the only creamer I use. See,
Yeah,
this
see,
is
but my
too much.
I love it.
Okay, awesome. So I think my next question would be what are three things that people wouldn't like off the bat know about you? Like, what are three things you think that would actually surprise people?
That I went to jail. That
What the
is one of
jail?
I went to jail. And we'll
Ah,
talk about that today, hopefully. I mean,
oh, okay.
yeah, I went to jail. Most people are like, "Oh my gosh, girl, I don't expect that from you." But yeah, that's part of my story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of dogs.
Me
I don't
neither.
really like dogs. And another one more thing. Hmm. Um, I don't have like an extra toe or anything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a third one that people may not. Yeah, I got two for you for sure. I
Okay,
can't
I'll
think of a
take the
third.
two. I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, love, you've already kind of sort of mentioned your story a little bit with the incarceration piece, but we got to work our way up to it. So take
Mhm.
us back down memory lane and start from like how old you were, where you were living at the time, and kind of paint the picture so we can see it, what was going on. In your life before you got into the relationship and then after, like I guess after it started, like the honeymoon type phase.
Okay. So I was about 19 years old when I started dating this guy, and I was living at home with my parents, and I was getting ready. I didn't go to college or anything. I had two jobs. I was working at a daycare and also at Jack in the Box. So I was alternating, jobs at that time. And then I eventually left both jobs and got a call center job working for a United Healthcare. And felt like I was getting independence, and it was like, they were paying $10 an hour, and so it was the most money that I thought I would make. And so I started to look for an apartment, found my apartment, started dating this guy, and we basically like moved into with each other within weeks. Okay, so um the honeymoon phase, it was no honeymoon phase. It was not he was whining and dining me. It was just me kind of being desperate for love, and just I was so naive and I didn't realize what I was signing up for, but everything just moved very quickly. He We didn't separate ourselves from one another for a while, and I was just so easily open to him, and I I was spending a lot of time with him. Like just a lot of time. And so eventually we moved in together. After like 3 months, he stayed with us, and well, with me, because I was staying by myself at the time. And he was living with his sister. He didn't have his own place or anything. So when he moved in with me, I didn't think that he was moving in. I thought it was just like, okay, you're spending the night, you got your little spend the night bag, and you're gonna go home.
Gonna go
So
home.
he never went home, and it was just a fight from there on, like to get him to go back home with his sister. So during this time, I was just like, I was working every day, just going to work and just trying to, I was making good money. So I was, out here living, girl. And he put his hands on me one night. So when he put his hands on me one night, I was really shocked. I thought it was just a reaction. I thought I had made him mad or something. I was like, well, what did I do? Like, okay, maybe I said something wrong that maybe, irritated him, and he just spazzed out on me. I didn't think, I had never seen anything like that. So I was like, well, I didn't, for a minute I started to question myself, and then I was like, no, I didn't do anything. So that was the one incident. It kind of died down after that, but then I got pregnant. And so there was this control that built up with me being pregnant. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Well, let me use your car and take you to work. I'll drop you off. I'll, just do all of these things, and where I didn't have much control of anything. So by this time, we're locked in. We're not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. I have a baby on the way. Um, and when I had my son, he was about 6 months old. I moved back in. I actually broke my lease from that apartment because I got pregnant and I could not afford that apartment anymore and also bring in a child. So I went back home to live with my parents, and my son was about 6 months old at this time. And I'm enduring more like abuse, like toothpicks standing up in the carpet after having a C-section with my son. Um, and just things like that, little petty stuff. And but it wasn't until this one incident where we were arguing because he was on the phone and he was pretending, I think he was pretending as though he was talking to a female. And I'm ironing clothes at this time, getting ready for work to go to work. And he's on the phone like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, go to Waffle House and take um, Josiah, which is my oldest son. I'm gonna take him with me, and we're gonna kick it. And I'm like, mm, I'm just listening. And so he then asked for my car keys to get the stroller and the car seat out of the car so he can take it with him. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Because my parents were gonna watch my son that day while I was at work. And he's like, well, we finna go and this is that. So there was an exchange. While he was going to the car, I went to get my keys because honestly, I thought he was going to take the car. Just it would make more sense for you to just take the car, but he wanted the car seat and the stroller. So I was like, okay, let me have my keys. I'll get it out for you. So there was just an tussle back and forth about that. But he grabbed my wrist, and that's when I yanked it back, and I went in the house. But as I was going in the house, my mom, she was like, what's going on? I see y'all arguing out here. We can hear you in the house. And so I'm like, well, he's, trying to, like, he's upset because I won't give him the car seat and the stroller because he's not going to have a baby at this point. Like, you're watching my son, so there's no point in him taking the car seat and the stroller. So it was just a petty argument that I thought would die down. And I go in the house, and my mom's like, no, he's like upset. You need to call the police, and we need to figure out, like what's going on. So we both, me and my mom, thought that the police would just mediate the situation. So as we go in the house to call the police, that's when he took off on foot with the stroller and the car seat. And as when he took off on foot, we didn't know where he was at. So we called the police like, "Hey, we don't know where he's at. He's trying to take the car, the car seat and the stroller and stuff like this." And he's just like so upset that he's like scaring us, basically. Like he was threatening me. And so during this time, when we call the police, we're waiting, and then the police shows up. And they come inside, they look around the house, they're looking at pictures, they're doing all of these, just surveying the house or whatever. And he's asking me to tell my side of the story, what happened. So I tell him like, oh, we're having a little petty argument about him getting the car seat and the stroller. It was a petty argument, truly it was. And he was like, well, did you know that he was cut? And I was like, no, I didn't know that he was cut. So come to find out, he had cut himself, like on his walk with the stroller and the car seat. He had cut himself. And the cut was obviously pretty deep for the police officer to then arrest me. So he didn't buy my story or anything. He didn't, because I was just like, I'm calling police because he scared me. Like he frightened me. He threatened me and this and that. Like he's upset. So he was just talking crazy. And I'm like, well, why am I going to jail? And in that moment, I really just couldn't understand it. But I really feel like God had put me in that situation so that I could know my worth. I could, figure out how I was valuable, and what he had for me. So after,
Yeah. Wait a minute. How
I'm sorry.
old? What was the age difference between y'all, and how did you meet?
So we met at a gas station.
Uh-huh.
We met at a gas station. It was just I was 19. He was like 25 at the time, maybe not even 25, probably like 24. And he approached me at the gas station, and that's when we exchanged numbers. We met up. We started hanging out, and he lived in the neighborhood, so it was very, very easy for me to stay in contact with him and to just have that entertainment. So anything it was no distance between us because he literally lived right around the corner. I knew his nephew. Like, we were so already connected in a few ways. So yeah, we just
What do you think it was about him that drew you in?
he was really funny. He made me laugh, and he just had like a charming spirit, and I was engulfed in that charm and his funniness. Like, he just made me laugh. It was like warming. It was real cool. I didn't think that he had an angry side of him. Like, it was just he was happy. He smiled a lot and had a really pretty smile. And so I was, you know drew in just by his smile because it seemed to be so genuine.
Right. And he was staying with his sister. Did anything ever happen? Like, did he move out his parents' house, or like did he have other children?
So
Or
he had a daughter at the time, and I don't know the time frame of when they had broke up, but looking back now, I think it was pretty short between the time of me meeting him and the time that they broke up. So his mother had lived in Louisiana. She was not living here at all at that time, I believe. And he only had his sisters there. So his dad was in Louisiana as well. So he didn't really have any other family members that he could rely on. He is a convicted felon already. So at this point, he couldn't, get his own place. He couldn't really he had a job. At least that's what he told me. Like, oh, he worked at this place. He even wore a uniform every day. So it was just buying his story, like, oh, you're at work, and he's working, I'm working. So I thought it was just an equal, match. I'm like, okay, good. He's got a job. We can go eat or something. And yeah, so he turns out he didn't have a job. He was just at home all day.
now fast forward, like he cut himself and tried to say or make it look like you did it, and then they
Yeah.
end up arresting you. So when did they find out that was a lie? Like, how long did you have to stay in jail? Like, how long did that play out before they caught on to his plan or his
Okay.
lie?
So this is when I feel like God has really showed me favor and just grace, because I went to jail. I spent about 26 hours in jail, so it wasn't long at all. Um, but I was facing up to 2 years. So after I got out of jail, I had to call in every Friday to the bail bonds to basically report, that I'm not running away and stuff like that. So I did that for a year. And that was a probationary period. And I had to call in, biweekly, to check and see if I had a court date.
Right.
Every time I would call in to see if I had a court date, there was no case for me. There was no arrest records. There was
Amen.
nothing. And so I really feel like that was just a moment for me to turn the situation around and really go after what God had planned for me. Um, but I didn't see it, I didn't see it that way that back then. I was so confused. I'm like, okay, well, they can't find my case. I kept calling, they kept calling, and nothing. So for 2 years, I'm calling to see if I have a court date set, nothing. So it didn't even show up on my record. And this was a class A misdemeanor. It didn't even show up on my record. it was just truly God showing favor to me and grace
Yes.
and giving me a second chance because I had not been in trouble, with the law before. You'll get speeding
Yeah.
tickets there, but it was nothing to the significance of domestic violence. And it was traumatizing. Like that was my low moment for me.
Mhm.
So,
As I could imagine, because I mean, you had two jobs. You got your own place. Like you moved on and you were moving up, and then he comes along and throws everything off track. But of course, you had a blessing by him, your son. And so, like, after you came back home and all of that happened, like, what happened to him?
um, when I came, okay, so he lived with me.
Mhm.
Yeah, he lived with me because after I broke my lease, I was pregnant, had my son. He was then living with us as well, with my parents. So during this time, we basically share a household together, with my parents. We're in one room and we're sleeping in one queen size bed. And he was just, during that time, he was going and coming as he pleased. He didn't even have a job then at that time because as a felon, it's really hard to get a job and keep one. But I
Right.
feel like it's also depending on the person as well. So there are opportunities out here for people with convicted felons, but you know, it's all about what you're ambitious to do.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, was there ever at a point like he ain't still staying with y'all now?
Oh no, 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 no.
No, yeah.
So
When did he leave?
okay, so here's another turn in the story. So after going to jail and um going through that after 2 years, he had so in between that time frame of just still constantly calling the bail bonds to do my weekly reporting. He goes to jail for 6 months, and I got my own apartment again. So this is the time I found another job, a more stable job. This is 2015. I found another job. It was paying me like $15 an hour, which was really good. So this is when I'm like, I finally am free, of him. We have a child together, so you'll always be connected. But at this moment, this is when I felt so free of him and that I could finally move on in life. And so I found a job, stayed there for about a year. He got out. I was in my own apartment and he comes back. So when he comes back, during this time, I'm like, okay, well, he seems, like he's changed and I've forgiven him and I've extended grace to him when I probably shouldn't have. And we start dating again. This time there is resentment because during the 6 months that he was in prison, I was not writing him. I had just moved on. There was no, money on his books. There was nothing, no support in that at all. It was my freedom. So when he moves back in, he is really resentful again. And this is the moment when I lost it. He choked me out. And literally, I felt my body lifting up off the ground when he choked me. And by the time he let me go, I just knew that my feet was hitting the ground and I was just, gasping for air and trying to like just gather my breath again. That that experience really opened my eyes up because this was the second time that I had made a mistake. I ignored what God was doing the first time and I opened up, myself again to him a second time and I that's when I experienced that near death experience of being choked and just not being able to breathe. And that was traumatizing. Again, it was absolutely traumatizing. Like I could not I couldn't come back from that because it made me feel even worse. Like, I took you back, so this is my own mistake. So now my self-esteem is very, very low. I'm just confused. I'm losing friendships. Like, it was really bad. And you isolate when you're in a domestic violence situation. You're automatically going to be isolated from, your loved ones, because the more you're around people, the more that they see. You don't really want them to see anything.
Right.
So I was yet again being threatened on a day-to-day basis, just that he would kill me, and that if I couldn't, it was the pettiest things that would, irk him. Like, what is this? What does it say on your food box? If it said Cameron, who is Cameron? Things like that was just, it was that petty. Like, those petty things really irked him. They, I don't know if that made him feel weak or how it, truly made him feel, but it was the moment where he would take attack to me. And so after that, after being choked, I found out that I was pregnant for the second time. So this is only even 4 months into new dating again. Like, we haven't been dating a long time, since him getting out. So this 4 months, I'm pregnant again, and I've experienced that. So
Right.
now at this point, I'm, getting ready to sign up for maternity leave at my job, and there is no, I get approved for the maternity leave, but I don't get the approval for the finances, like the short-term disability. So there's no income coming in from being on maternity leave. So at this point, I have to just, kind of thrive off survival. And I started doing hair. So when I started doing hair, um, I'm sorry, just drew a blank there. So when I started doing hair, that's when I started to make more money than I was making on my job. And it opened my eyes, because I was like, okay, well, this may be my outlet to, get moving forward, because I'm like, if I can have more money, then I can, do more things. So I was pregnant. I worked doing hair up until my due date, which was January. So December 11th, right, the month before I had my daughter, he wrecked my car, totaled it out. He dropped me off at work. While I was at work, he crashed my car. So at this point, I have no car. We don't have public transportation where I'm at. And it's just a big inconvenience to, ask family and friends to take you
Right.
here and there. So Christmas time, we had no car. I'm catching Uber to the grocery store. Um, he does get a job by then, so he was able to get like a truck, like a cash car or something. So we were using that, but it would break down. It would, it just wasn't stable. So March, up until March, that's when my lease ends. And I was able to, fully pay the rent up until March. And when my lease was over, I moved back in with my parents. And at this time, this is when I knew I had to go. Like, I had to go. I had enough. I went to jail, like all these, sequence of events, just the abuse, living in the apartment for that entire year, just, putting my clients in danger and them just feeling so uncomfortable. It was something I had to do. It was something I owed to myself and to my kids. So I left him when my daughter was 4 months old, and that was in 2017. So I was, at that point, I didn't know, who I was. I didn't know. I was very insecure. I didn't have a car, so I'm catching Uber everywhere I need to go. But it didn't stop me. I just kept going. I did whatever it was going to take to get back to me and get back to someone that I was proud to be, someone that was a positive influence on my kids. And during that time I would attend different women empowerment events. I would attend, different seminars, and just to grow and just to evolve and be better than what I was going through and what I've experienced in the past 3 or 4 years.
What do you think kept you motivated? Like where do you think like that thought came from for you to just get to a positive place, get to know yourself or get to know what your purpose is, your passion is? Like where do you think that thought came from or during that time? Like how could you see that God was still in the mix?
So during that year of being pregnant and having no car, just that came towards the end of the year, but just that entire year and all the sequence of events, especially after, just almost being dead, I got closer to God. I started praying more. I started those prayers of, God, if you get me out of this, I will do this or I'll do that. I won't go back to him. It was prayers like that that just kind of led me into, just trying to figure out, okay, look, I gotta, I'm gonna keep praying, but
Right.
I gotta figure out how to be positive and how to, because it'll push this negativity away, I thought. And so my relationship with God really did go deeper, and he just kept sending me people. Like my clients, they would support, it's crazy because I didn't even think that they saw it. Because again, you don't really want people to know. So you do everything to hide it, or at least you think you are. And you're not. People see right through you and
Right.
what you're going through. They see the people, you're surrounded with, and they check your character and they're like, that doesn't add up. So they would, extend their hands to me and, just offer things to me that I didn't even probably deserve or felt like I deserved in that moment. So it was the people that he sent to just help me at that time, to pull me out of that deep darkness that I was feeling. I remember a client, she used to come, and it's so crazy because I'm now looking back, I'm like, where did she come from? Like how was that? So how did I end up with that type of person as a client, just doing hair out of my house? And it just didn't add up. So I was like, that was, nothing but God, because she would pick me up from the house, bring me to the grocery store. She would pick me up from the house and bring me to the salon that I ended up working out of. And she would just take me with her. She would bring me to her house and just show me a good time. And just, she showed me a different side of life. And I'm like, well, it was an inspiration to do more and to be more. And I just started doing whatever it was going to take, reading books, listening to Sarah Jakes. That's when I really got introduced to her.
Yes.
And she helped me to, come out of that deep darkness and move on, and to realize that I can be broken and still, and heal at the same time. So
Yes.
it was,
Yes, I love Sarah. I was introduced to PT first, and then
yeah,
it was around the time PT and Sarah had just met, and he was introducing Sarah to his church, and she was going to be First Lady Sarah. And it was just the way she looked at him, and I was like, they're just so much in love. Like you can see it. You can
yeah.
see how much
Mhm.
they love each other. And then from then she started, speaking as she calls it. She was like, I'm not a preacher, blah, blah, blah. And now look at her, like she's just on fire. But first of
Yeah.
all, sis, let me just thank you. And let's just praise on you for a minute and the Lord for bringing you through that situation. I know that was tough. And sometimes we do crazy things when we be in love with people and we choose to see the potential in them and choose to see the goodness in them when they don't even see it in themselves. And then we be the ones ending up in the hurt place. And I've been there too, especially in college. Um, Terrible, terrible situation. But I'm happy. It could have been a lot worse. So I'm
Yeah.
happy that it wasn't and you came on out. And where would you say your relationship with God is now? Like, what would you
Mm.
say? Where are you at right now, currently?
Hmm. Right now, I am walking out the discernment that He has given me. So I feel like I've always had a spiritual gift. I never really tuned into it. And some people just call it intuition. But, you do get that intuition, but it's more connected to God, right? And so I'm just listening to His instruction. I'm following His lead. I am praying more, seeking His face more, and being diligent about it. Not like Touré would say, doing drive-by meetings with God. It's really
Yes.
intentional. It's a very intimate relationship now. I consult with him about anything, and I used to always be like, I want friendship. I need friendship, and I'm like, God, I'm going to find friendship in you before I open myself up to other friendships. Not that I'm not open to
Yes.
it, but I just don't want any kind of friend. You can't have everybody in
Right.
your circle now. So I understand
Mhm.
that, and I I'm just listening. Like I'm open. I'm open to what he wants to do for me and with me, and using
Mhm.
me in any way.
Yes, yes, Lord. I would definitely say in a way that's where I am too. Like I don't know, like I thought about doing a prayer call in the morning or having an accountability partner or someone I can do Bible study with or someone that can help me help them help myself and where I should be reading in the Bible and different things. I truly believe that friendship and love does start with God, and being serious about him. And I believe first, when you put him first, all the other things that you want will be added. I think that is Matthew 6:33. Um, yeah, seek the kingdom of God first, and all these other things will be added unto you. And I just honestly feel like if we start with God first, every person he put in our life, it's going to be like almost like, I don't know if you ever heard PT preach on destiny people or your people. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but those people that will be strategically put in your life will be like your lifelong people. And I truly believe that. Now, friendships do come and go as we get older. I've learned that. But
Mhm.
I believe that these next group of friends that both of us will have will be friends for the long haul. And I'm super, super excited about that because that was one of the things that I think I talked to you about at I forgot how we got on that topic at the Woman Evolve conference. And I think you said friendships. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've been wanting some friends too. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
just
it
moved
was
here.
me. Yeah, it was me. That's one of the things I said when we were sharing. When I think it was Dr. Anita Phillips, she had us share what we
Yes.
were afraid that we didn't have enough of. And I said friendship because people are, I do understand the value in friendship and how it
Right.
can aid in evolving you as a person, and
Right.
so that was one of the things. But when I left that conference, I said, God, I'm going to find friendship in you first, because that's where friendship is. That's where it started
Yes.
with, and
Right.
that's what I've been doing, just really making him my friend. And it feels good because I can
Yes.
see more things aligning up, and that divine alignment is necessary, you know.
Oh, it is. It is. And I will definitely say, since I left the conference, I've been watching, I know it's old, but The Chosen. It's a show called The Chosen, and it tells about Jesus's life, how he was in the flesh, but it also walks out different stories in the Bible, like when he healed the paralytic man or talked to the woman at the well in Samaria and all that. It kind of shows a different side of Jesus, like the human side of Jesus and how he really is more relatable than what we think, and his character. And I think on Tubi, Tubi, it's a free app if you have a smart TV, and you can go in there and look up The Chosen and watch the whole first season. I think there's a second season coming out, but I got introduced to The Chosen through my pastor's wife. She had a girls' night at the church, Social Dallas, and she talked about The Chosen and played the clip of him meeting a woman at the well. And I was like, I have to watch this show. And now I'm mad because I can't find season 2. But but I started watching it and I learned about Nicodemus and what type of person he was. So it's cool. And I've been trying to just surround myself, my gates, so my eyes and my ears with more like gospel and positivity and podcasts and things like that to keep me on track. Because I'm not going to lie, ever since the Woman Evolve conference has ended, the devil has been after me. It started with the problems with my car, then I got in a car accident, and it just went from there. And so every time I turn around, it's been something. But I have continued to praise the Lord and say, you know what, Lord, you good. You're good. I ain't even going, you good, Lord.
Yes, my
But
car
yeah.
got broken into. Um, did you hear? I don't know if you heard me, but my car got
Which,
broken into right after the conference. Yeah, like not right after, like the weekend of, but it was like Monday or Tuesday, the
uh-huh.
week following. My car, yeah, it got broken into, and I'm just like, that ain't nothing but the devil, because they didn't take nothing, girl. They just made a big old mess. And I'm like, they said that there would be a target on your back, and
Yes.
with the anointing that we got over that weekend, I wasn't scared or anything, but I was just like, that was nothing but the devil trying to spook me, because I have children, and I was just walking out alone, and
Mm-hmm.
to see that, I was kind of scared, like, okay, well, what? But I was just like, you know what? That was the devil's plan to kind of spook
Right.
me and make me fearful. But I just went into prayer, and yeah, so like you said, it's been one thing after another. I understand.
Yes, Lord, we're going to keep in touch and continue to hold each other accountable and check in on each other and hopefully spend some time with each other since we haven't seen each other since the conference, because we got to keep looking out for each other, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual too. Continue praying for each other. But I do have to ask the last question. What advice would you give someone who's listening that might be in a similar situation, or they might be in a situation where they feel like they can't get out of? It may be a domestic violence situation, physical abuse, a parental situation. Like, what is some advice you would give someone that's scared to take that next step and might be scared to know the Lord for themselves?
Well, I would first start off with something that my dad told me, and it didn't hit me until later. But he said, when a person shows you who they are the first time, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
People show you who they are in their actions, how they take care of themselves, um, and how they love on themselves. So that can show you how they will love on you, and how they will care for you. And just watch people in their actions. They can say
Right.
one thing, they can, they can mean that, but what they do is everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that shows you who they are. Um, and as far as increasing someone's faith, I would say trust him, because he has your best. He wants the best for you.
Right.
So trust in him. You don't have to come to him perfectly, unflawed. He accepts you flaws and all. He accepts you in your dry places. And what I mean by that is, he accepts you when you make mistakes over and over again
Right.
that may not serve you or serve, what he has for you. So just continue to pray, seek his face diligently. He's got your back.
Yes, I love that, sis. I love what you said about making sure that you watch how people, like how they move, because they could say whatever, but we watching, how they move with themselves and other people, and it just don't add up.
Mhm.
And I really got to trust my spirit of discernment. I didn't know what that was 100% until I got around some people I really outgrew and wasn't connected with like that, and they were trying to do like some fouled foolishness, and I was just like, mm-mm. And so I kind of felt that just something didn't sit right. And I just kept trying to force it. And you can feel that, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you trust that feeling. Where can the audience get in contact with you if they want to give you feedback about this episode, or they want to support you, or maybe come get their hair did? Where can they find you?
You can connect with me on Instagram at underscore all things beauty, the number 4, the letter U, underscore.
Okay. Okay. I love that. Y'all please go and support my girl, my soul sister here. I truly, truly want to thank you for coming on today and spending 30 plus minutes with us on talking about your story, how you overcame that, how God was present throughout it all. And it sounded like he was running after you too. He was in love with you. He was like, come to me, my child. And so he got you in the end. And later on down the line we met. So I'm just super excited that you told your story. But not only that, that somebody listening is connected to your voice and they're going to get a blessing today when they listen to this episode, or you're going to help somebody or set somebody free from some bondage. And I'm super excited because somebody did not want us to make this episode, but we made it anyway. So,
Hmm. Okay.
okay. Oh, Lord. Well, I just want to say thank you to all of my listeners out there. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast, and you can connect with me at theresilientpa.com. Until next time, guys, have a great week, and we will check in soon. Bye, guys.